Court TV, you know who they are. It's an online YouTube channel full of legal experts. They take on the issues of the day. They bring in the top lawyers who really know their stuff. And of course, this one is going to be about Kyle Rittenhouse. And they've brought in Jamie White. They scoured the land looking for somebody who understands Wisconsin criminal law, especially when it comes to self-defense and murder. They found Jamie. Here we go. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With his powerful brainwaves cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnnie Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's the Johnnie Walker Dread Show.
Still with me is trial attorney Jamie White. And Jamie, you know, it's interesting. You got a couple of videos here. There's lots of videos, lots of different angles. This jury is going to see a lot of that. My question to you is, the videos are really only tell part of the story. I think.
Oh yeah, they only tell part of the story. Yeah, we shouldn't take too much stock in what we see happening right in front of us.
I think there's a larger context here that the prosecution has to make sure that they bring across to this jury. I want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, that broader context is character assassination. Essentially, that broader context is Kyle's a white supremacist. Kyle didn't belong there. Kyle is a member of the Proud Boys. Kyle's just the kind of person who would shoot Black Lives Matter protesters. That's the context that he's talking about.
So I think, there's clearly going to be some mitigation in this case. I know he's charged with first-degree murder, open murder, but I think that based on his age alone and, based on some of the circumstances that were highlighted in your video, there's going to be some mitigation. Now,
the circumstances could be what, Kyle is innocent? Could that be the motivation here? Notice how he's just assumed that Kyle's guilty. He's just assumed that Kyle's going to be found guilty. Well, maybe the jury will be nice to him. Maybe the judge will be nice to him and give him a little bit of a lesser sentence because he's so young.
does that mean that he walks from a murder charge? I mean, that will yet to be seen. As to whether or not self-defense sticks in this case, Michael, I just have a problem with it from a legal point of view. I mean,
No, you have a problem with it from a political point of view. If this was Crystal Kaiser, do you think you would be taking the same stance? No, you'd be pounding the whole self-defense thing into the pavement. You would be in the forefront, leading the charge to have her acquitted. And it's not because she's female.
this young man, 17 years old, wasn't even old enough to possess a weapon.
This is Jamie White. He has been staying on top of this case like crazy. It's like a doctoral dissertation to this dude. He pores over the videos at night, reads all of the newspaper clippings. Yes, apparently he doesn't realize that the judge, however, is deciding whether the possession of that rifle was legal or not. That got by him. Never mind the fact that it made national news.
He travels across state lines, and he's
Oh my, he traveled across state lines. Yeah, I tell you what, Jamie, you go into the Wisconsin statutes and you find anything that says anything about crossing state lines. Let me fill you in on something. The prosecution cannot make any hay out of the fact that he crossed state lines because that would be unconstitutional. You see, Kyle, even though he was from Illinois, enjoys the same rights as any Wisconsinite when he's in Wisconsin. You cannot convict somebody on the basis of the fact that they're from another state.
protecting property apparently that doesn't belong to him. There's no evidence that he even knew who the property owners were.
Oh my, he didn't know who the property owners were? Well, let's see here. The last time I looked, he wasn't defending property at the time he was ambushed. Yeah, he was defending property earlier in the evening, but he had long abandoned the property. He wasn't there. He had walked away from it. and he was walking down a street when he was ambushed. Protection of the property had nothing to do with the shootings.
To me, this is vigilante justice, and there's a reason that we don't allow that in our system. It's because of these kinds of results. So, I think this young man has some significant exposure. I will not be shocked if a jury or a prosecutor grants him some level of relief.
Oh, I see. So he's a vigilante now. Gee, a vigilante takes over the function of a government official, like a police officer or a judge. Kyle was defending property that night. Now, before you go on and say, well, that's the job of the police. No, it's not. The police don't do that. Call them up sometime and say, hey, I'm going to be out of town, and I was wondering if you could kind of safeguard my house while I'm gone. Can you post an officer outside my house so that nobody burglarizes it? They will laugh you out. They will tell you, go hire a private security firm. The police do not protect private property. Now, if somebody breaks into your private property and wrecks it, they'll go chase down the person who did it, but they're not going to protect it. For much of the same reason, they're not going to protect you either. They're not security.
As far as a reduction in charges.
All right, let's take a look at this expert that they brought in to talk to us about Wisconsin criminal law with respect to murder and self-defense. This is him. This is Jamie White. It says, White Law PLLC founder Jamie White is one of Michigan's, not Wisconsin? Okay, one of Michigan's preeminent attorneys representing survivors of sexual abuse and assault. Uh-oh. That doesn't sound like Wisconsin criminal law with respect to murder and self-defense, does it? Jamie and his team have been heavily involved in some of the most significant sexual abuse litigation in the state of Michigan. Sexual abuse litigation. He is a civil lawyer. He sues people. So think about it. Court TV scoured the nation and came up with an ambulance chaser to tell us what to think about Kyle Rittenhouse and his self-defense claims in a murder trial. That's Court TV for you. Like my videos, subscribe to my channel.